Alright, so we got a stasis build here, and the goal with this one is try to utilize every bit of the artifact this season that we possibly can. So, in order to set this up, we went with pretty much everything on the top rows, just because it's all the stasis related things. So we're taking advantage of one with Frost, which is while Frost Armor is active, stasis weapons gain increased reload speed and stability. We're taking Wind Chill, rapid stasis weapon precision hits grant you a stack of Frost Armor. Crystalline Converter basically makes extra stasis shards when you do a melee. Hail the Storm, arguably the most important one here, shattering stasis crystals releases shards of ice that damage and slow targets. Armor of Aramis, while Frost Armor is active, taking critical damage from combatants causes you to emit a freezing burst. Then we have Brain Freeze, frozen combatants become surrounded by chilling fog, which slows combatants that aren't already. Then we have Serve Cold, picking up a stasis shard grants you class ability energy, where the normal stasis shard would just grant us melee energy. We're taking advantage of this mostly with Ager Scepter, as well as our exotic of choice, Mask of Fealty. So Mask of Fealty states, Withering Blade hits and bounces create a small stasis crystal and refund a portion of melee energy. Using Withering Blade to shatter crystals or frozen targets releases a spread of Withering Blades. I believe that the frozen targets one is glitched right now, where it's not proccing all the time, but it's still very, very potent. As for Ager Scepter, the reason why we're using it is because of this perk here, Stasis Final Blows transfer ammo to this weapon's magazine from reserves, as well as its primary trait, Ager's Call. Final blows with this weapon generate a slowing burst around the defeated target. Then there's also its Catalyst, where you can basically hold down your reload button in order to give it a supercharged beam that will slow and freeze targets while you're shooting at them, and it'll consume your super to do so. As far as our build goes, we're running Slight Silence and Squall, of course. We're running Gambler's Dodge. We don't really have too much of a need for a reload here because of a few of the fragments that we have, as well as what the artifact is giving us. So for Gambler's Dodge, the reason we want that is it gives us our melee ability back. Even though we have 2 charges, we can still run out, and it's just basically like a free 3rd charge. You can go with any jump you would like. I'm going with triple jump. Withering Blade, of course, to take advantage of our exotic helmet. I'm going with Cold Snap Grenade. Arguably, you could go with Dustfield Grenade or Glacier Grenade here, but I found that Cold Snap Grenade feels the most consistent to me, and with our aspect here, Touch of Winter, it has a bonus of Seeker's Duplicate after freezing a target and create a stasis crystal on detonation. So you can just spread across the map with one stasis grenade to 4 or 5 targets. It chains everywhere, you have crystals everywhere, and you just have a lot to do on the map, and it feels a little bit more chaotic, but you are getting the whole map covered with this. For our other aspect of choice, we're going with Grim Harvest, where defeating slowed or frozen targets creates stasis shards. This also allows us that when we pick up a stasis shard, we will get Frost Armor. For our fragments, we're taking advantage of those 2 aspects as well as our grenade and melee with Whisper of Chains. Defeating targets where you have Frost Armor has a chance to create a stasis shard. Increases the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target with Whisper of Fissures. This can make it so that when we do shatter things or targets, they deal far more damage. Whisper of Shards, shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. This is to make sure we have even more Cold Snap grenades. We have Whisper of Torment, so that we gain grenade energy each time we take damage. We're going to be taking damage all the time, and we're going to have Frost Armor all the time, so this is going to increase the amount of energy that we gain when we have Frost Armor as well. Whisper of Rime, for your Frost Armor having increased duration and a maximum stack count. This allows us to get the maximum amount of defensive bonus from it and makes Frost Armor feel really, really effective and tanky. As far as our mods go, we have Harmonic Siphon. We have 2 of those to make sure that our stasis weapon, Ager Scepter, is creating as many orbs as possible for us. Special Ammo Finder, so that Ager Scepter has more ammo. Focusing Strike, for when we actually cause damage with a melee attack, we'll get class ability energy. Impact Induction, causing damage with a powered melee, will reduce our grenade cooldown. And then we have causing damage with a grenade, reduces your melee cooldown. We don't cause too much damage with the grenade of the Cold Snap, but it's actually a common misconception on how much damage that you do converts to energy. It's actually just how often it's hitting. You only need to hit it the one time, and you'll get the grenade energy. So this creates a small loop within itself of just class ability granting melee energy, and melee energy being granted for grenade energy, and grenade energy granting us more melee into a loop. Harmonic reserves, that way we have even more ammo for Agers. You can take solar resistance here like I have, or you can use it for whatever you're facing. Charged up, increase the maximum number of stacks of armor charge you can carry by 1. This is going to allow us to have our boosted stasis damage for a little bit longer. Better already, your health begins to regenerate immediately after picking up an orb of power. This is on our boots. And this is to make sure that we can actually get our health back, because stasis shards do grant a static amount of health. However, we don't really have a method of healing in particular with this build. So we're primarily taking advantage of this, as well as frost armor for our tankiness, to make sure that we're generating health and then having large damage resistance. We have 2 stasis weapon surges to get 17% increased damage to our Ager Scepter, just make it feel a little bit better and help it in endgame content. Then we have Special Finisher for that just in case. If we run out of ammo for Ager Scepter, we can finish something when we have 3 ammo charge or armor charge, and then that'll make sure that we can just never run out of ammo. Then we have Double Outreach, so that way when we do use our class ability, we'll get more of our melee energy back, just to feed into that loop of using Withering Blades as much as possible. Our other weapons of choice, we have Non-Denouement. I'm just using this because it's Dragonfly Volt Shot. I thought it was a little bit fun. The primary thing that you need on here, again, is Special Ammo Finder Enhancement, just to make sure that you can actually farm out more ammo when you need it with your primary, if you need it. Then we have, I have Chill Inhibitor. I managed to get lucky enough to get this roll here with Cascade Point Chill Clip. Whatever you have will probably work. It's not particularly important, but a stasis power weapon, ideally a grenade launcher, would help the most. So in order to take advantage, the reason why I'm in a lower tier law sector here is to really show off how everything is working together with the fragments. That was the worst shots of my life. So those are dust field grenades, basically, surrounding an enemy that we froze there. And we can immediately get a shard. And then look how much damage this does to an orange bar there. And then in order to show off, so we already have frost armor off of collecting those shards. We can throw this, and it freezes that, chains it around, and then we can throw one thing, and it immediately creates even more crystals, even more shards, kills everything around it. And Ager Scepter is just keeping this whole loop going at all times. As you can see in the bottom, that we have so much melee energy off of collecting a shard, where we don't even really need to think about it at all. We can throw a shard, throw a Withering Blade for nearly every enemy. Again, we can just throw our Cold Snap Grenade, and it'll freeze literally everything. And just spread so many crystals around. And if you pop one, if there's more enemies around, if they lived, obviously this is lower tier content. And then let's just say you want to use the bow here, it's still fine. Obviously things are going to die really easily here. This is more to show you the build synergy and how everything's working together in order to give us our abilities back faster, rather than actually tackling difficult content, which I'll show later on. So you just have to kill one thing, and the whole room will basically freeze. And let's say I ran out of my melee charge here, I can dodge near an enemy and I get them back, and they're gone. There's even a crystal in there, I don't even see it yet. We have our class ability back, so we can again just throw this, that creates a shard under there. Everything's just being affected by stasis 24/7. The more densely packed the ads, it helps, but not entirely necessary. And to show off a little bit of how much damage you can do to a single target with Agers, you can eat your super there, and just go to town, and you're just freezing and constantly killing. It's just gone. Alright, rest of the video will be just a little bit of gameplay on the higher end of things. I'm going to show off a little bit of the Hydroponics Delta, as well as a higher end of the Onslaught game mode.